Assembly of Delegates Standing Committee on Health and Human Services, and as we just said, it's 3:03. Hold on one sec. Oh, are we streaming, Ian, by the way? Everything's fine to stream out?
Yes. Yep, we're good.
Okay, and I want to make sure that the recording is on. All right. So now it's still 3:03 on Wednesday, June 24th. This is the Assembly of Delegates Standing Committee on Health and Human Services. And just a moment with my technical difficulties, and I will have an agenda and some recording statements to read for you. Give me one more moment. Oof. Unfortunate. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Thank God. All right then. Pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2025, this virtual meeting of the Cape Cod Regional Government Assembly of Delegates Standing Committee on Health and Human Services will be conducted via remote means only in accordance with applicable law. Members of the public may watch the meeting through live real-time broadcast at www.youtube.com/backslash/Barnstable County, all one word. A public participation guide and meeting documents are available in advance at www.capecod.gov. County Barnstable. Oh, what's that up to?
I have a total echo. I'm going to have to, I'm going to bail out briefly and come back in. I don't know quite what's happened here, but
we'll get in on that as well. But nevertheless, the County of Barnstable does not discriminate in the administration of its programs or activities on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or other category protected by state and federal anti-discrimination laws and regulations. Reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities are available upon request. For more information or file a complaint, please contact Justina Marchek, Barnstable County ADA Non-Discrimination Coordinator at JMARCZEAK at capecod.gov, call 508-375-6646, or visit www.capecod.gov. Members of the public may also attend the meeting remotely, and all of that information is available on the website. Back to you, Mr. Chair. Would you like a roll call?
And will we do a roll call, please?
All right. So, who do we have today? Delegate Green?
Here.
Delegate Frederickson may or may not be joining us. And then we have Delegate Harder, who is an alternate, but is here on behalf of Delegate McKelvey. Are you here,
Yes,
Delegate
I
Harder?
am. Yes, I am.
All right, Chair O'Malley and Vice Chair Ty, which gives us 4. So a little stumbling beginning here this afternoon, but we're all here and ready to do business. So hopefully I will see you the next time I turn my mic and camera on.
Right. So if I could, I see someone on the call. Vera, hello, good afternoon. It's good to see you as always. And
thank you. Good afternoon.
Mr. Platt, can you tell us exactly, can you introduce yourself so we know, so the committee knows who you are and what your current role is?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Andy Platt. I am the Emergency Management Director for the under the Emergency Preparedness Division of the Department of Health and Environment.
At least at the moment.
For the moment, yes.
Okay, good. So basically, we're here to take an overview of the proposal to carve off the emergency management function from the Department of Health and Environment, where it has lived. And as I understand it, and I'd be happy to be corrected by anyone in the administration, as I understand it, the major driver of that is to align our administrative structure with that of both the state and the federal emergency management administrations. this involves a certain amount of effort on our part, but I think that the ultimate goal is to clarify for, particularly at the state level, which is what we're going to be getting most help with, at the state level, to make it clear cut the chain of command for emergency management incidents. Mr. Platt, is that a fair understanding? Or I'll recognize Administrator Harik, Assistant Administrator.
Thank you, Assistant County Administrator Vera Harik. I'm pinch hitting for Michael, who is I think running a bit late. Both of us were out on the dredge today. The weather being what it is, I'm sure that Delegate Harder is extremely jealous of our field trip today. And Mike, I think Michael's still out there, but I will do my best to represent the details of this. In your comments there, Delegate O'Malley, are correct. Yes, our proposed reorg of this and establishment of an independent emergency management department is in part to sort of makes abundant good sense for the reasons you stated, to bring us into alignment with state and federal expectations of this sort of function at a municipal level. But not only that, but it also brings the emergency management department into alignment with established emergency management practices. So the only line of business for an emergency management municipal department is not only public health. And so there's far more to do than that. As you, I'm sure you recognize, we respond on a regional basis to storms, winter storms, hurricanes, and so on. Sometimes there will be wildfire types of responses. There's a panoply of situations in which regional emergency management is expected to be organized and to respond, not only health. And so our department emerged in the health department due to sort of a staff interest back, good 20, 25 years ago, and grew there within the health department. But it behooves us now for it to sort of take on a more, I think, more prominent and regional role, and fully assume the various lines of business that should be expected of it. Andy, is that, if you would care to elaborate on the genesis of this thinking, you're most welcome to do so through the chair. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, and through the
Go
chair,
ahead,
if that's will be.
Perfect.
What has Vera described it, that's really the true genesis of this, is looking at the standards of emergency management, not just in Massachusetts, but around the country, of where emergency management sits. It partners with public health frequently, but it is wholly a separate function a lot of times. And really our scope and the kind of the different work streams that we take on kind of evolve above and beyond that. And I think, to add on a little bit, I think there's also just having the direct line to really administration. Oftentimes emergency management in a response situation is going to be making very quick decisions, is going to need to take certain actions that require direct communication with the administration, and I think with the administrator directly too. And I think that that works, and I have a good relationship with our director of health, but it makes, in a sense, it makes a lot of sense to be able to have that direct line. And I think this is something that, having worked here for many years, I think this is something that's been talked about in the past. But I think ultimately with the storm and what we saw, and with changes at the federal landscape and the increasing risk that we see here on Cape Cod from climate change, from wildfires, I can go down the list. I think it created a situation where now is the time to pull that trigger and really broaden what it is that we try to deliver for our communities.
All right, thank you. So now, as I'm reading the various memoranda on this thing, number one, it's very clear that We have a process outlined under administrative procedures, the administrative manual of administrative procedure for essentially creating a new department. It's been done before.
Yes.
I understand that there is no new allocation of resources or personnel expected from this. I understand that those functions will be transferred from the existing Department of Health and Environment to several 2.5 personnel FTEs to the new division. I understand that this is intended to be budget neutral. So these are all considerations that appear to be not a problem. I'll throw this out because it seems to me the most difficult area of what this involves, and that is the separation of public health emergency from other kind of catastrophes, oftentimes which may involve public health elements. Widespread loss of power, for instance, in some sort of a major storm or a catastrophe is going to impact on public health. And as I see it, there's a kind of a fine line there. How do you envision that? I think I'm going to put that to Mr. Platt as the one sort of most directly concerned. How do you see that line being kept clear?
Certainly. So I think, you're absolutely right that public health plays a major role in emergency management. We are partners at every level of government. I think ultimately there are multiple functions within the county that we touch on, and I think we saw in this last storm more so than in the past, where we had kind of operated through the RAPC and through, I think we had a lot more volunteer coming in collaboration where the towns might sit more in the EOC. And I think with the restraints that they're under, they've had to kind of focus more locally, and it's put us in the position where a lot more county personnel and county support are kind of filling those roles in those responses. And it goes beyond public health, where we're directing staff from the extension, AmeriCorps, staff from IT and their relationships with so I think it's not so much that we're separating in a relationship from public health. I think it's that we're positioning ourselves so that we are able to tap into all of the resources of the county. And at times when we may need to support the different staff, or we may need to ask for assistance or to come in, and I never want to ask people to come in here and sleep here like I do, but sometimes coming in and staffing the EOC from other departments and kind of having that position to be able to do that with other staff and work directly with the administrator, to work with the department heads and make those policies and procedures to make that work as we've expanded. So we're still going to have a line to public health, of course.
Yeah.
I've already talked about in creating an internal emergency management working group where we're going that piece so that we can collaborate regularly with all of these different programs, because it's not just response, it's preparedness, mitigation, recovery, which I think we can do a lot more work in, disaster recovery, which is a huge piece. And I think that's going to touch multiple departments. So being positioned so that we can be really, with the 2.5, that's not a ton of people, but emergency management often acts as a facilitator. That's what we do. We bring the people together and have that space to take the actions that those different organizations or the different departments of the county are able to bring to bear for the storm. So we act in that facilitation role. So being not under health, but kind of in a departmental space where we can then bring all of the different departments to work with us across. I think that's really the idea.
Good. I think that's kind of a perfect answer, which is there isn't a clear wall of separation. There's going to be overlaps, carryovers. I thank you. So let me turn to questions from the committee. Delegate Harder, please, number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I'm hoping, but I don't know, do you think that doing this will let the towns sort of feel better about is the point of this to have the county sort of coordinate all responses so that we know where the shelters are set up, if they're staffed, if they have electricity or their ovens are working, like some local shelters weren't? So do you envision this as being something the towns will buy into in order to help coordinate any emergency responses? Thanks.
I saw Vera's hand go up, so I'll defer to you, Vera, right away if you'd like, or I can take that.
Chair O'Malley, is that okay?
That'd be fine, of course, I
Thank
agree.
you. I also want to acknowledge that our administrator has finds himself on dry land, I assume, and has joined the call. And I certainly want to defer to him for anything he might want to say before Andy and I dive into more detail.
Mr. Dunn?
No, I thank you. If I'm not sure you can hear me, I'm probably in
we
a
got
dead
you.
spot, but I do want to say appreciate the committee's taking this up, and I confirm what Andrew said. About the whole point of an emergency department being sort of a coordinating department and able to reach out to peers within the county, other departments, but also able to reach out to peers within state government and federal government as those needs arise. But with that, I'll let Vera continue on. But I thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, Delegate Harder, the short answer to your excellent question is that the relationships and the expectations, mutual expectations, ours of the towns and the towns of us, are already well established and in place. And so this will not have really any material effect on those existing relationships. That's the short answer. Andy, if Andy would like to elaborate, that would be great.
I'll give the long answer as I'm apt to do. I will. So what I would say is, ultimately the relationships that we have, at the end of the day, we are a home rule state. The towns have local control. The towns maintain kind of the statutory authority of emergency management in their towns. We would never look to supersede that unless they delegate it to us for some reason. So ultimately, like when it comes to opening shelters, right, even the regional shelters, it's the decision of that town that owns it. But we exist as a support to them in response, right? All of our emergency managers are generally police or fire chiefs, and they're going to have that'll be their primary focus a lot of times. And depending on the situation, they can so we exist to kind of support them and help augment what they're doing in emergency management, from preparedness all the way to recovery. And during response exists as a support. We don't supplant what we do. We act there so when their local capacity is exceeded, they know they can put in a resource request or call to us and we can provide those resources. And then we also play that facilitation role of being that space where the 15 emergency managers and all of the partner agencies and those big 300-person calls that we all love, they all can come together and discuss those issues and how they coordinate together. Because if, I always give the example of 15 different towns ask for a snowplow, it's very likely NEMA is going to send one snowplow. So we need to be able to discuss where that's going to go. And I think having the county be that relationship, and I will add as well, oftentimes the health department is usually directed to work with DPH, right? They
Right.
work with the health agents in the towns. Our division and hopefully department generally works with police, fire, emergency management, and MEMA. And that's not to say that we don't, talk to DPH or that the health department doesn't talk to them, but it's just a clearer line because it's confusing sometimes, especially for off Cape towns when we request things from them and we're talking to them, like, why is the health department talking to the fire department? Not that I like that those silos exist, it makes it a little bit clearer so MEMA knows we're talking to county emergency management, and it kind of legitimizes us in that way, I guess is a way to put it.
Delegate Harder, do you feel that is your question answered? Are you comfortable with that?
Oh, very, very much so. I think that
Okay.
makes perfect sense. So thank you.
Thank you. I mean, what I'm hearing is that from the standpoint of the towns, they will be turning, they will see much the same. It's
Yeah.
not going to change a lot of what they face when they reach out and call for help. Maybe a different term, maybe a different department name, but the help is going to be there. The personnel are going to be there that they know. Okay, Delegate Green, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone from in the department and administration for being here. I have been really very supportive of this concept for a long time. I've wondered why it hasn't happened sooner, but I am curious about the staffing of such a department. I mean, now it's under a different department? Do the same people have, will they have the responsibilities solely for the new department, or will there be shared responsibilities? And as far as the role expansion, I mean, I think all of the things that you said, Andrew, make a lot of sense to me, especially given what is predicted for the future. I think this needs to be broadened out a bit. And you know, there have been, I mean, I worked on a something that turned out to be sort of a subcommittee of the emergency management overall program with the Shark. Mostly it was just to bring the towns together to talk about this, because we learned in the assembly that the sharks are in every single town in Barnstable County. And it was to share knowledge and information. And if there was something that could be pulled together for prevention or information to the public, to the towns, and with the technology that's out there. I mean, I know my town got 50 proposals after the unfortunate situation that we had. And there were several meetings, and Chip Riley was wonderful. I mean, he just, he did such an amazing job coordinating all of that and bringing people in from across Barnstable County to participate in various roles. I mean, I think it's necessary. I think what's, you know, happened is it siloed back into an entity that has a certain point of view. I think the county is, you know, has all points of view in the public interest, and that's really where it should reside. But things of that nature, I mean, well, what can you clarify for us as far as the staffing and what will happen with the staffing, and also about programs that you know, have started, but you know, they were dropped? I think it was it was because of staffing. Thank you.
Assistant Administrator Harik, are you raising your hand for that question?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. The staffing is anticipated to remain the same, with the same full-time equivalents, as you pointed out, Chair O'Malley. Andy is in the process of converting creating an emergency planning specialist role out of the position that he vacated within the division, which will bring a great deal more support to the towns as they engage in their emergency planning processes. But it is still the same 2.5 full-time equivalents at this time. However, there could be, you know, as the administrator, who could speak more eloquently to this than I can, you know, considers potential reorganization within other departments, and the sort of co-location and bringing together of various roles, and in ways that make sense. The emergency management department, nascent department, you know, could expand by people who sort of whose positions and work developed in another department, kind of organically, but now might fit more readily in the new emergency management department. So that could happen as just a process of rationalizing county services.
Okay, thank you.
Could I follow up with that, please?
Go ahead, please.
So thank you. So are you saying that I mean, it seemed to me that that wasn't the only thing that these people were doing. They were doing other things in health and environment. You know, they were doing other things in the department, not just related to emergency management. But maybe I've got that wrong. So
yeah, I'm not certain what you're referring to. I mean, the ambit for the division has been pretty stable, you know, over time.
And they're really just focusing on this aspect, the emergency management aspect.
Yeah, all aspects of emergency management. So I mean,
okay,
you know, yourselves and the public can be excused for thinking that, well, you know, emergency management, it really consists entirely of you know, sort of public health activities, because our last major incident, major, not holding aside the blizzard, was the COVID pandemic, which was, entirely a public health emergency. And so that's how, emergency management and public health, it's easily conflated in your mind, in one's mind. However, Andy has it's been, in pulling this together, Andy has provided a really great primer for at least for myself, and I think other colleagues of ours here in the department, in the county. And when Commissioner Dutton, when Administrator, I'm elevating you, Michael, when Administrator Dutton presented this, there was a very short PowerPoint slide deck that Andy had prepared for Michael's reference, and I think that is included in your packets, and it really does. This page of it really sort of sets forth the areas of activity for emergency management writ large, and Owen has done an excellent memo summarizing all of the
Yes.
information that we've provided. So hopefully, Delegate Green, that answers your question.
It helps to clarify. Thank you very much.
Oops, I just lost my image. Where'd I go? Okay, I'm going to ask a question of either administrator, and that is, do you see any issues with the transference of grants that are currently existing to the Department of Health and Environment to this new department? Is that likely to trip us up anywhere?
No. I will defer to Michael simply because I have absorbed way too much airtime. The short answer to that is no, but Michael can elaborate.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and then the short answer is no. We have gone through the grants that currently sit within the Department of Health, and those that will be transferred to a new emergency department. And those there are a few or a couple that will stay with the Department of Health. So we don't anticipate any adverse impact in terms of grants. In fact, I think this move, if the Assembly approves it, I think this move puts us in a position where we can actually better compete for specific emergency management related grants, whether they come through MEMA at a state level or FEMA at a federal level. So I think overall it's going to put us in a good position, but currently absolutely no impact to the grants that we get currently.
Well, to which I would say, what's not to like?
Right.
If that lines us up for a better shot at grants, that sounds like a good idea to me. This makes a lot of sense. I haven't heard anything. I've heard no real substantive kind of concerns or objections here. Does anyone on this committee have any further any further issues? All right. At which point, it seems to me we've kind of teased out what is a well thought out, well organized, and relatively straightforward plan to carve off one major function of the Department of Health and Environment, which, as I pointed out before, is a very big. It's a department charged with a lot of responsibilities. It was one of the reasons why I recommended we carve off Children's Cove from that department. We really had too much on our plate with that department, and they had too much on their plate. Any rate, so if there are no further questions, I would entertain Delegate Green. Yeah, go ahead. You get your hand up.
Just you're entertaining a motion. I will make
I'm entertaining
that motion.
a motion.
I will make
Second.
that motion. The motion is to refer to endorse the ordinance and recommend to favorably to the Assembly, the full Assembly.
I
And I heard a
second,
second from
Thanks,
Delegate
Sally.
Ty.
I
all right.
second that.
Thank you. And Mr. Clerk, please, a roll call.
There he is.
With Ian's coaching, I've somehow
You're
managed
back.
to figure it out. All right, Mr. Chair. Delegate Green,
Yes.
Delegate Harder for Delegate McKelvey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Ty,
Yes, yes.
and Chair O'Malley.
Yes.
That's unanimous, 4-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, that will be, you will prepare a little memo on this one, and we will pick this up for the next assembly meeting, I assume.
I believe so. I think there's a public hearing that we noticed, unless something went awry. So hopefully we can get that done next week. And for those of us who are fortunate or unfortunate, I will see you at 4 on the next one of these calls.
Yes, indeed. And
Staff-
next time you
staff-
go
staff
on
is
the
unnecessary
dredge,
for
let
those.
me know.
You
All
heard that
right.
right. You're always welcome in our committee meetings. Every chair has said, but I don't know that we need staff for 4 o'clock.
Right.
Enjoy.
So, seeing no further questions and having completed the agenda item, I will take the power to declare this meeting adjourned.
Yay.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.